Today we're at Lowe's. We're picking up a new product that we're going to be trying out. So let's go ahead and head inside and grab it. Alright guys, so here's the product. We're trying the Reptilion Gator sanding discs. And they've got all the different grits here. You can pick it up at any one of your Lowe's. So shout out to Lowe's and Gator. They did send me a bunch of this stuff, but I am going to give you guys an honest review. So you can come into your Lowe's, pick it up. Mine's already ordered. I ordered it online. You can also order online. I'm going to go to my little locker here and pick it up. All right, pickup was super simple. If you order online, you just get a barcode. You scan it and you can pick it up at these lockers, or you can get help from somebody here. Or you can just come into your Lowe's and go to the sandpaper aisle and you'll find all this. So let's go ahead and go try this stuff out. All right, we're back. We picked up different grits to go on our orbital. These are perfect for your next DIY project, or if you're a pro, they are great for anything from removing paint to fine finishing. All right, so we picked up 80 grit, 40 grit, 220. This is 120. Our orbital sander and safety gear. Behind me here, we have this cabinet door that we have in our kitchen, and it's got a bunch of damage to the paint. This is the trash container drawer, so it gets used a lot, pulled out. You know, we've been bumping on it and scraping it. So we're gonna try these sanding pads, and we're gonna try to get this paint off of here so we can repaint it and repair it and see how well it does with this paint right here that's been on these cabinets for a few years. And these are supposed to be 4 times longer lasting than your average sanding disc. Quick change for the orbital, and extreme sand, so extreme conditions, extreme materials, removing paint, things like that. And then it also has these little grooves for dust collection, so it removes the excess debris from the sanding while it's going on. It doesn't get caked on there like some of the sanding pads that don't have this. They'll get caked on there after a while, especially if you're sanding like some gloss or anything like that. It'll get sticky and resistant to that, so the buildup doesn't stick on the sanding pad. So we've got our 40 grit here, which we usually use this for reclaimed wood or removing really thick layers of paint. This is for removing material. Then you go up, so the higher you go up on the grit, the finer it gets, and the more it's used for like details and stuff like that. So the 80 grit, same, you can use it for removing things and also sanding down like warped wood, anything like that. These two are the thicker grits. And then next we have a 120 grit here. This is like all-purpose fine grit, but we use this grit a lot. We use 120, 220 a lot. So this usually we go through with this one first, and then we'll come back and hit it with the 220. Yeah, so this is good for like prepping raw wood cabinets, the first sand, and then you come back with the 220 and do the very fine sanding with this one in between coats, or just the final sand before you paint with this 220 grit. Right off the bat, it's eating through that paint pretty good, and it's not really caking on there. But I haven't lifted the sanding disc on purpose because I didn't want to see if the bottom was getting clogged until I was done with the entire panel. Of course, I'm gonna have to bring a detail sander here for these little corners, but the whole face of it is done. Took about 5 minutes, 10 minutes to get through the entire thing. And there's the bottom fresh off. So there's a little bit of buildup right there, right there. Just tiny little spots though. I mean, normally compared when we do remove paint like this off of cabinets, we'll have a lot of buildup right here because this is the main part that is sanding. This sanding pad still feels really good. You can hear it. And I used an 80 grit on this wood because it's a softer wood, so I didn't want to damage it. I could have used the 40. It probably would have been a little bit faster. I'm going to go ahead and go over this with the 220 real quick just to smooth it out, and then I'll bring the detail sander later. This is the, what was this, the 80 grit. It's still really good. I mean, I would save this. I wouldn't throw this away. It's got one little bit of buildup right here, but it's still a solid sanding pad. So we're just going to switch over to the 220, and again, super easy. The Velcro just sticks on there. Align your holes, and then we're going to do a quick 220 pass to smooth out the wood. All right, now we're trying out the 120. So we did 80 on the cabinet and 220. All right, so if you look over here, I did this area with a competitor's sanding pad, and that's about as far as I got. The first two were smooth. It was fast. By the time I got to the third and the fourth one, it was taking longer, and that's about as far as I got. And before I would have switched the pad there. 4 pieces. I'm gonna do the same here and see if I can get more than 4 pieces with this. This is supposed to be 4 times longer lasting, so we should be able to get a bigger area than that and still have a good sanding pad. All right, so we are sanding this old deck that we have here behind the house. We're really just doing this for purposes to try out the sanding discs. But yeah, this is some rough wood. There's like pieces sticking out. It's old, weathered. All right, guys, so still no clogs. It is ripping a little. That's because the wood is really rough out here, so that's expected. But I mean, it still has coarseness on this. And I did twice the area that I did over here, basically, with a finer grit. This is a 120. I did that area with a 100, and then after a while it was caked on, and I was ready to switch out the pad. This one still looks pretty good other than the rips on the edges, and that's because some of the wood, like right here, when you sand on this rough, these edges will rip up the edge of your sanding pad. But yeah, definitely lasts longer. I think if I would have had 100 grit, it would have probably gone farther. This is a finer grit, so works. I'm gonna switch this out and we're gonna try a 40 grit and see how much we can get done with a 40 grit. So we got our 40 grit. This should be faster. It's rougher. It should get more done. All right, guys, so still good, still rough. It is ripping. Like I said, this wood is really rough, but if you look at the area that we did 2, 4, 6, 7 boards about the same size. So we did like a 3, 4 foot by 4 foot area here. The first one we did was like a 2 foot by 3 foot by 4 foot. Excuse me. It was like 2 feet by 3 feet. This one was like 4 feet by 3 feet. This is still good. You still see the ceramic coating on there. It is getting a little clogged in the middle, but not too bad. And this wood is really rough, and I haven't cleaned this out. So there's all the wood. It's and you can see the green coating.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
So that's all the stuff that it's been eating. So I'm gonna finish to the wall here with this pad, and then we'll see. Yeah. All right, guys, so we got to here. So we did this whole area with one sanding pad. So it did finally start falling apart, but I think that's mainly because we have nails sticking out. We have this wood that's really rough, all these knots. Yeah, and so this deck has been here since before we moved in, and we moved in 3 years ago when we bought the house. It finally fell apart, but you can still see the channels. You can still see some of the ceramic coating in there. So I mean, it still has good texture on it. It's just falling apart from all the rough edges and the nails, but it did last quite a bit. All right, but as you can see, in these areas that we did, so this was one 40 grit disc. This area was one 120 grit of the Reptilion Gator sanding discs, and then this was a competitor. This was 100 grit, and this is what we got out of theirs. So definitely lasts longer. I actually really like it. They did send this out, so they are the sponsors of the video this week, but I'll give you guys an honest review. Yeah, so I really like it. It sands well. It lasts longer than the other sanding pads that I had here that I had been using this past week. So I'm really happy with the performance on it, as well as on the paint here. We got through this paint really quickly, and then we smoothed it out. This is all just dust, but this is all super smooth. So definitely worth the investment. I think with maybe one box I can probably get, the box has 10 of the 40, no, the box of the 40 grit has 8. Could possibly get through this whole deck with it. I'll let you guys know in the future if I do get through the whole deck once we get done, but I don't want to bore you guys with a bunch of sanding the same thing over and over. All right, guys, if you're ready to start your next project, this is perfect for DIYers or pros. I would definitely keep using these in the future. Check them out. You can pick them up at your local Lowe's, the Gator Reptilion sanding discs, and they have any grit that you need. They have them for the orbital sander as well as the square sander. I think I saw while I was in there as well. So check them out, guys. Again, thank you guys for watching, and thanks to Gator for sponsoring the video.